What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 108, everybody. I am your host, SleezBall. Today's episode will be an early look at the waiver wire week 8. So before the Monday Night Football games here. So players you want to pay attention to tonight are possibly Trey Benson if James Conner gets hurt. He's had a long injury history. J.K. Dobbins with a massive injury history. I'd be looking at Kamani Vidal for a stash play if you need tonight. On the Bucs side, the running back room is a committee. I don't really like any pickup there. And you could say the Ravens side could be, Keaton Mitchell, an IR play, or Rasheen Ali, or Justice Hill if you wanted. But I don't think they're really going to be true three-down backs. I think it'd be more of a committee. So when I'm looking at Trey Benson and Kamani Vidal, these would be actual stashes that will play. Now, before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash that subscription. Turn that bell on. We will be live tonight, before the kickoff, an hour before the doubleheader game. And we'll be looking at what we missed, what we hit, and what we like for tonight. And if you guys can't make the live stream, as always, drop any comments down below and say like an injury happens to a wide receiver tonight or something like that. If you have one of those questions, I will help you out there as well. And let's dive into my week 8 top 10 waiver wires, guys. The number one waiver wire pickup of the week for the quarterback position for me this week is going to be Russell Wilson. And man, did he not light it up on Sunday Night Football last night versus a Jets D that was tough going in. But of course, the injuries they sustained and picked up in the game really cost them. So their secondary was really beat up. I know that Russell's still a good. I'm not taking anything away from that. But it was kind of a depleted secondary that he was just thrashing. Now, he went from off the waiver wire to a top 40 QB, 265 passing yards, 2 TDs. Next week, he's going to get the New York Giants, which is going to be a different battle up front for him. The New York Giants front is very good. But versus the quarterback, the New York Giants struggle. They rank 25th. They give up 18.1 points per game. They rank 29th in the red zone, and they allow 208 passing yards a game. And I'm going to toot my own horn here with one of my tweets from last week. If you aren't trying to pick up George Pickens as my number one buy low, you can check my YouTube video on buy low as well. I posted at the beginning of the week. George Pickens is going to be absolute gold. Look at Russell Wilson's schedule from here on out, guys. This is going to be a startable quarterback, which is crazy to say, in 12-man, 1 QB leagues that are competitive. And I'm okay spending 20 to 30% FAAB to get Russell Wilson because most people are going to have quarterbacks. There's not a lot of quarterback injuries right now that are to the main sustained players. So you should be able to get him for a cheaper value instead of, don't blow your whole load mid-season when there's still running backs that are going to get hurt on a quarterback position. But I love the Russell Wilson pickup. The second player at quarterback you should be targeting this week, and it's crazy that he's still only 45% owned in Yahoo, is Tua Tagovailoa, who is supposed to be returning week 8 here against the Arizona Cardinals, and it couldn't be a better situation, guys. So currently on the season, only had 483 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, had 28 yards rushing. We hope the rushing is going to stop this year. He cannot sustain another hit or another concussion, or I'm going to be like, my goodness, what is this guy doing playing football? And that's real talk, guys. So when you're looking at the Arizona Cardinals here, you saw Tyreek Hill last week struggle. You saw Waddle struggle. You saw my sleeper hit of Jonnu Smith hit. I'll talk about him later in this video as well. But the Arizona Cardinals, guys, give up 19.2 points to the quarterback position, 24th on the season in total points, and 32nd in the red zone. So very high touchdown upside for any wide receivers when the Dolphins get in here, or the passing game to even Achane. And Achane looked very good last week. He's going to be one of my absolute smash plays next week. They give up 230 yards passing, and this is just set up for that perfect Tua return. Perfect. He's going to be fine from the concussion at home. They're going to be flying all over this team, and I love all the Dolphins this week, and they've been on my buy low for weeks now. I hope you guys listened and went and got these players. The third QB you should be targeting on your waiver wire this week heading into week 8 is none other than Drake May. Currently QB 32, 541 pass yards in 2 games, guys, as a rookie. 5 passing TDs, 2 picks, and 68 yards on the ground. That's what you want in fantasy football, is the extra rush yards on top. He has averaged 20 points a game in 2 straight weeks. I had him on my smash start. I had him on my sleeper start in week 6. I had him as a must pick up player. Why is he 16% owned in Yahoo Fantasy Football Leagues? Please tell me this, guys. This needs to change. He is going to be a smash start quarterback because the rushing upside either way the rest of the season. And he did this last game in London, in Jacksonville, without his star wide receiver, Demario Douglas, or not star wide receiver, his wide receiver one in Demario Douglas. Jalen Polk dropping every single ball. Looks like he's headed to IR. Thank God. Get my guy Javon Baker out there this year, and you are going to see fireworks. Please go pick up Drake May, and I'm willing to spend 20 to 30% FAAB on him. The fourth player you should be targeting heading into running backs here, and it was tough to find running backs this week. There was not a lot of injuries to the running back position. There was not a lot of changes, and most people own Tank Bigsby, so I'm not going to say pick up Tank Bigsby. So my number one call last week as a sleeper, we're going to look at this first. I'm going to toot my own horn again here. This is a tweet from before the week. The Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Taylor ruled out. Fire up Tyler Goodson as a flex play. Miami versus the running back is terrible. Tyler Huntley will give you massive opportunities. And you should have seen some of the comments I got in there. They're like, if he scores 10 points, we'll put you in the Hall of Fame. So I commented back. I go, just put me in the Hall of Fame, bro, because he scored a touchdown, scored 11 points in the game. And if you watch the game here, so say you're looking at Tyler Goodson, yeah, Jonathan Taylor is returning. If you own Jonathan Taylor, this is the handcuff. This is the change of pace back. This is the more explosive back than Trey Sermon. I tried to say that all last week. And look what happened, man. He had another game again where he's over 3.6 yards per carry, 14 touches, 51 yards, found the end zone. And on the season, he has 128 yards rushing in limited snaps of 27, and he's averaging 5 yards a carry. This is going to be the guy. And Jonathan Taylor carries a huge injury risk, right? Back-to-back years. He's been massively injured for 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 weeks here. Could possibly happen again. You're behind a great offensive line here, and he's earned the number 2 job 100%. I tried to implore this last week, and this is going to be the guy that you should target with 5 to 10%. It's not a, smash pickup right now because I do think Taylor will return. But if you own Taylor, I'd probably spend 10 to 12% on it because then you have your actual legit handcuff. That is a game breaker, man. He is fast. He looks explosive. He looks good out there. The fifth player you should be targeting on the waiver wire heading into week 8. And remember, I only gave you one running back because most of my videos are based towards 12-man competitive leagues. So 10-man, there's probably tons of other running backs. This is always based for my content is always based for 12-man competitive leagues because that's what I play in. I don't really like 8 to 10-man leagues anymore. I gave those up like 10 years ago. Now, the player we should be talking about here is Ricky Purol. So this guy comes off getting shot in week 2 or week 1, I forget what week it is, goes to on IR, comes back, he's practicing like 2 weeks later, ready to rock and roll, comes out for the 49ers, plays 76% of the snaps in his first NFL game, which is absolutely bonkers. And we didn't know that Debo was going to be sick either. That probably cost a lot of people fantasy weeks. That was crazy, kind of like the Cooper Kupp late update as well. But in this game for the 49ers, you get more and more trouble here. It looks like Ayuk has a bad ACL injury. There's no update yet on Brandon Ayuk, but it doesn't look good, guys. So you got to be paying attention to that coming into the week here because the Niners have a bye in week 9. So this is more like a 1-week rental unless we get an Ayuk, bad play, bad injury update here because they're going to play the Cowboys and they get the bye and then they go on their stretch down the road here. And if Ricky Purol is going to be the wide receiver 2, possible, big body wide receiver 1, because they use Debo more as a gadget guy, this is going to be a flex play weekly. And they get the Dallas Cowboys this week, guys. And Debo is going to be back out there, obviously. But when you get the Dallas Cowboys defense versus the quarterback, guys, or versus the wide receiver, versus the quarterback, they're 27th alone by themselves. We'll just throw that out there. So Purdy's in for a big day. Against the wide receiver, the Dallas Cowboys on the season right now are currently giving up 32.5 points per game to the wide receiver position. So a lot of points to be had here for Purcell. They rank 19th in the red zone. They give up 150 yards passing as well just to the wide receiver position. So if you averaged out, Jawan Jennings may be involved here as well too. Could be another pickup that I could talk about. But I like Ricky Purcell more than him. And if you're going to get a 70 to 80 yard split in a target high scoring game with the Cowboys, Ricky Purcell is going to be a flexible play this week. The sixth player you should be targeting and the second player for wide receiver this week that you should be going after is Romeo Doubs or Dubs or Dubs or Dubs, however you say his name. I don't want to get it wrong. I hear that announcers do it differently every time. And I was wrong on this one, guys. I got to take this one here. I was not high on Romeo Doubs this week. I did not think it would be his week to pop against Houston. And what does he do? He comes out and plays 83% of the snaps. After in week 5, crying about his usage, and back-to-back weeks, he's averaging 18 points in fantasy football. This is a flexible player weekly, but the schedule coming ahead for the Green Bay Packers, it's gold, but I'll get to the schedule in a second. So he's a top 40 wide receiver right now with missing a game because of a suspension. 34 targets, 23 receptions, 312 yards, 2 total TDs. and he's only rostered in 47% of Yahoo leagues. That is absolutely crazy to me. Now, look at the schedule coming ahead here. Jacksonville, the worst versus the pass. Green Bay smashes this week. Detroit, very bad versus the pass. Then they get the bye. They get healthy. Chicago, very good versus the pass. The Niners, Miami, Detroit, Seattle, New Orleans, Minnesota. The schedule is absolute gold for all the Packers here. They are going to be on my buy lows if you can hit him on the bye week here coming up. And he's becoming a flexible player weekly with the amount of snaps here he's getting. If you're playing 83% of the snaps in a high-flying offense with Jordan Love as your quarterback, I got to take this one. I was wrong last week, and you must be picking this guy up. And he's a flexible play in your roster if you have buys or injuries, 100% coming up down the stretch. The 7th player you should be targeting on your waiver wire heading into week 8 is Jerry Jeudy. And I know it's going to look sketchy here, but before I talk about him, let's look at a tweet here from Gibbs _23 on Twitter. Smash my guy. Follow Jacob Gibbs. You can search that also. Here's what you have to look at. So with Deshaun Watson in there, and they had DTR in there as well, they both went down in the game. Deshaun Watson's season looks over. Now, Jerry Jeudy was targeted 1 on of his 43 routes before Jameis Winston entered the game as the emergency quarterback and could only play because the 2 injuries to the starting quarterback. That's the NFL rule for the emergency quarterback. And he dropped back 12 times and targeted Jerry Jeudy 4 times for 63 air yards. He did drop 2 of the targets, obviously, right? Their chemistry is not fully there yet for the game. But you're going to be getting a wide receiver 1 here who played 95% of the snaps. That is volume is king in fantasy football. A team that is going to be playing down. Jameis Winston is going to be a gunslinger quarterback. This is going to be very, very good news for Jerry Jeudy. He is going to be on my buy low video next week. And he's possibly going to be on my smash play as well because they're going to get the Baltimore Ravens, guys. The Baltimore Ravens versus the wide receiver rank 31st. They give up 43.9 points per game to the position. They rank 30th in the red zone, and they give up 187 yards just to the wide receiver position. And with Jameis Winston out there slinging it, I'm okay with Jerry Jeudy as a maybe even a wide receiver 2 low-end play here, but definitely a flex play this week. And I'm willing to spend 30 to 35% FAAB on him because I like this so much heading forward with Jameis Winston as quarterback. The 8th player and the 4th wide receiver you should be targeting on your fantasy football waiver wires for week 8. And I like this one a lot, guys. The chemistry is growing, and it is rookie Troy Franklin that was drafted by the Denver Broncos along with quarterback Bo Nix from Oregon. So they have the connection, and Sean Payton knows what he has here. So if you're looking at these numbers, right, he's wide receiver 88 on the season, 21 targets, 12 receptions, 110 receiving yards, 5 rushing yards. You like that? Get some yards on the ground. Found his first touchdown in week 5 versus the Raiders. And now, week 6 versus the Chargers. And now when you're looking at that snap share, right, it says 51% snap share last week. That's not the normal number. So he was playing 20 to 30% didn't even play week 1, from weeks 2 to week 5, learning the playbook, learning the system. Then in week 6, he gets a 65% snap boost right there. So they're starting to use him more. They found the connection. Did drop to 51% last week, but that's because they absolutely blew out the New Orleans Saints and they just pounded the run. That is not how every game is going to go for the Denver Broncos. Trust me, they may get a game like that here against Carolina, but down the stretch here, Troy Franklin is going to become a relevant player and someone you should definitely be stashing in an offense where the quarterback knows the wide receiver from college. This is your perfect matchup. This is what teams should start doing more in the draft. If they need a quarterback and the wide receiver is good at that college, they should just be like, hey, let me get that quarterback in the first, second round, and let me get some chemistry with him. A wide receiver. I know it's tough to have your quarterback and wide receiver go in the draft, but if those opportunities are there, I'm smashing it. Like an example would be with Drake May, right? Say if I could get Devontae Walker from North Carolina, a little connection there from them. That would have been a nice play for them late in the draft there. And it's something I really, really like heading forward here for the Broncos. The 9th player, number 1 tight end you should be targeting. And this one is another one that is absolutely crazy to me because I've been pumping up Hunter Henry all year as a massive steal in fantasy football. And right now, he's currently only rostered in 31% of Yahoo leagues, which is bonkers, guys. Bonkers. Currently tight end 5 on the year, 39 targets, 27 receptions, 313 yards, 1 touchdown. Played 87% of the snaps last week versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in New England, which would be a top 5 tight end volume-wise that is out there. And this is a guy that if you need tight end help, this is going to be a tight end play every single week, guys. With Drake May at quarterback, the elevation he's brought to the offense, he's found his security blanket in Hunter Henry, and they paid this guy massive amount of money for this reason. So even if I look at the start of the season, right, he's averaging 3 targets a game. He has an aberration in week 12 versus Seattle where they're down a ton and he sees a ton of targets from Jacoby Brissett. But now, Since Drake May has entered the picture, right? He never had over 5 points besides that week 2 game. Since Drake May's been here, he's averaging 15 points a game. He's averaging 7 targets a game and about 50 yards and 0.5 touchdowns because he had 1 touchdown last week, first of the year. And they're just going to be playing from behind guys in almost every single game the rest of the way. So you have to think of that also. You're going to get garbage time points. You're going to get trailing passing drives every single time. And Hunter Henry is going to be the focal point of this offense because none of the wide receivers can figure it out. I know DeMario Douglas looked good. He got sick. He wasn't out there. Really hurt a couple of my cards and stuff I bet on. They don't want to put Javon Baker, their best true alpha wide receiver, out there. They should now with the Polk injury. And I mean, this guy's going to see 7 to 8 targets a game with a touchdown upside every single game. And you should be spending 30 to 40% FAAB on it. And I cannot believe he is not rostered in over 40, at least 40% of leagues. It blows my mind. Last but not least, the 10th player and second tight end you should be targeting, and I'm going to toot my horn here again. He was my sleeper play of the week at tight end if you needed one, and goddamn, he delivered with 22.6 points, 7 targets, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Unbelievable call by me here. I knew it was going to happen with Tyler Huntley as a security blanket. Now we're heading into week 8, guys, and you're going to get Tua back. Yes, his snaps have been down, right? New to the team, learning the playbook. Snaps have gone up consistently every single game. Week 7 off the bye was the most he's ever been used all year long at 50%. And you have to know that Mike McDaniels knows he has his third option in the receiving game now. You're going to have Hill. You're going to have Waddle. You're going to have Jonnu. And the middle is going to be the toughest part for any defense to cover when you have Tyreek Hill, Tua, and Waddle out there, and you got A-Chain and Mostert out the backfield as well. This man can be running free all year long, and the more usage he gets, the better tight end play he was. And he's a top 15 tight end right now. And he's never played a game with over 50% of the snaps, and he's a top 15 tight end. As this chemistry grows, as the team uses him more, he will be more and more involved. And he was a good tight end last year at Atlanta, guys. This guy's not a bad tight end, and it's like he just does not want to be rostered. 21% rostered is absolutely bonkers to me. 53%, even in Dynasty leagues, is crazy to me. I know he's older. That's why Dynasty leagues are low. But, man, with Tua coming back, this offense is going to be everything you want to buy. So you better be picking this guy up with at least, I'd say 10 to 15%. Not a lot. Don't go crazy. But I called this one. I'm going to toot my horn here, and I like Jonnu Smith heading forward from here because I think it's just going to get better and better. And number 11, I added a little bonus player for you guys this week that you should grab off the waiver wire. Speaking of Jerry Jeudy, like I did, is Jameis Winston. So now the Cleveland Browns are going to have a gunslinger quarterback at the helm. I know the weapons are not great, but you saw Cedric Tillman look pretty good. You saw Elijah Moore get some targets. You know Jerry Jeudy's role is going to expand a lot more with a gunslinger like Jameis Winston out there. And you get the schedule coming up. You get the Baltimore Ravens in week 8. Who are terrible versus the quarterback. They're terrible versus the wide receiver. They rank 31st versus the wide receiver, giving up 43 points a game to the position, and they rank 30th versus the quarterback, giving up 20 points a game to the position. So Jameis Winston is going to be a startable quarterback heading into week 8. If you need a quarterback, yes, you're going to have to live with the ups and downs. He's like the Brett Favre. He takes the shots. He'll probably get a couple picks. I mean, if there's a bet coming Sunday that's an anytime pick for Jameis Winston, I'm definitely going to be smashing that. But you're probably going to get a 300 passing yard game that's absolutely bonkers because that's what this man does. And I'm willing to spend 15 to 20, maybe 25% FAAB on it because if he keeps the starting job the whole way, it's going to be just lights out firework offense. That's what this guy does. Thanks for rocking with me this morning, guys. That is the end of my waiver wire early look week 8 because I pump out a ton of content before Thursday kickoffs for you guys. So that's why I do them early. Remember, I gave you the 2 players to look for, Trey Benson and Kamani Vidal. So if you need to stash those players tonight on your waiver wire, say you have like a Blake Corum on your bench or something, swap that out. Take the guy that has a chance for an injury. Be smart. These are moves in fantasy football that help you a lot. Before we head out, guys, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash that subscription. Turn that bell on. I will be live tonight, 4:15, with my guy, Big Draft Energy, co-host of the show. Shout out to him. Check out his YouTube. Smash him a sub and a like. It will be in the description of the video. And we'll be covering everything we did from the week. We'll be recapping our calls, and we'll be looking at Monday Night Football, what we like, what we don't like. And if you guys have any start, sit, trade questions, anything like that, drop them in the comments below if you can't make the live video. And again, guys, I'll start pumping all my content out tomorrow for you guys, all the rankings, all the stardom sit-ups. I cannot thank you guys enough. And then we'll be live again throughout the next week, helping you guys with everything. So I hope to see you guys in the live show. SleezBall out.